Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since we've uploaded, but I think with the season coming to an end now and a lot of people looking to do stuff over the course of the winter, etc., etc., I figured I'd do a couple more videos and, of course, my own uh, year off, etc., taking a bit of time away from football. But I figured I'd do a video today talking about my personal favourite player in football, which is Stick, and why for me it's a day one install, and why it's a day one install for us, and just the beauty of the stick concept, and what it can bring to an offense. And I know the last few months we've realised about different types of offense that we run back in the UK. It is a predominantly spread based offense that we see. A lot of teams running, and of course, no matter what you run, if you're in the spread, stick's always a great option, even if you've got the tight end task, which we talk about as well, and all kinds of stuff. And I'll just talk to you about how we run stick, why we like it so much, and basically why I think it's the best play in football. And I know that for me, uh, as an air raider, six or four birds is always going to be the most explosive play that we have. But for my own teaching and for my own findings, is that anybody can throw the slots. Anybody can throw the fade to the outside one receivers. It's throwing the ball to the slot, whether it's the post or whether it's the hitch or whatever it's used to do. It's that throw over the middle to the slot, which is the biggest um, step up for young QBs in this country. Which is why sometimes if they take away the outside guys on six, they can cause us a few problems. And of course, a lot of other areas will say mesh is the best play in football. But from my own personal experience, mesh isn't for me. We don't run it very well. We don't block it very well, and we've had success with it, but not enough success to sustain it constantly. So it usually gets put in, thrown out before the season even begins. So we just don't run it. But stick for me is the day one install, and the main reason why we run stick and we run install it day one is because it can be done and used against a whole lot of defenses, different looks, because you've got the different side concepts, and of course, the more we do with it, the more we can change up, the more comfortable we get. But from like a day one install type of deal, is that it doesn't matter whether they're in cover one, cover two, press or man, we can attack it with something we've got in within stick, and we still can get the vertical off because of what it is. So we still got that deep threat, we've got that deep threat, that horizontal threat, all at the same time within the same play and within the same constraints of the play. Which is why I've done a video in the past on Coach Connect channel about installing stick. If you haven't seen it, it's on there. I don't post links. I don't really like that. Not that big on that kind of stuff. But if you look at going, if you want to take a look at it, it's up there. But today we'll talk about stick, and why we run it and how we run it, and all that good stuff. Okay, so from the screen, we've got a new playbook design that we creator that we're messing with today. It looks pretty good, so I kind of like it. So I thought we'd try it. You can see that the way that we load up our splits are 2.5, 3 foot usually from tackle to tackle. That's how we normally line up if we can. If our old line is struggling, we will reduce them to 2 foot splits. If our offensive line is really struggling to protect, again, it all depends on the personnel you have and how experienced they are, and that changes year to year, team to team, etc., etc. Obviously, the better you get, the more things you can do. In terms of how we line up, I've always been in the last 3, 4 years a guy that puts his outside fastest guys on the numbers. I want to get us spread horizontally as far as we can, and we've told with going farther, and we did that in 2019. But they're really out there a long, long way. So we settled in the middle, actually splitting the numbers down the middle. In this situation, and you can see it from the top left of the screen, the formation is ice. That's air raid formation 2x2. Sometimes we use verbiage, sometimes we don't. We mix and match. It depends on how we feel at the time and with the team. But in this instance, we don't call this 618 stick. We just call it stick. And then how we align is that our X and our Y are always on the line. We have told it in the past. We have changed it, and we've had X and Z on the line, and our two slots are off. All depends on what you want to do. They all work. It doesn't matter how you do it. It just depends on whether you want or what you want to move at the end of the day. But mainly installed this on other videos from the X and the 109, so I've stuck with it this video so that we can see what what we're doing, what's going on. So our X and our Y are on the line. And I said our X and our Z are in the middle of the numbers. And then we want to split the difference between the left tackle and the right tackle and the X and the Z and put our H and our Y usually in the middle, and it's usually the opposite side of the hashes. If there's a if we're in the middle of the field, if it's not always in the middle of the field, what's the difference? And we'll play by ear just to see where it goes. That's how we normally line up in our QBs, obviously 5 yards deep. Now running back to 7 yards depth. Okay, and that's how we align. That's how we are in our base 2x2. A lot of spread teams look and do things similar. So we'll start off with the right side of the concept first, because this is what we teach for our quarterbacks. We teach both sides, but we're always going to be looking at right side first, because that's where the stick concept is, and that's where the trio or the flood of reads is. So I always teach it is that left side or back side is always going to be a pre-snap read, whereas play side is a pre-snap and a post snap. I heard Coach Dave Gibbs talking about this is the biggest coaching play that he installs. And it does take a little bit of coaching, but I think that for minimal coaching, you get a lot out of it. And with a decent starting QB, you can really put this team and on your shoulders with the playing, and you utilize it a lot. So let's just look at the play, and we'll roll it out. So we will start. We'll always start on the right hand side. So we'll start with our Z, okay? And our Z, well, we ask him. We always ask him to take a mandatory outside release. Okay. Oh, stop figuring this out now. And we say, why do you ask them to take a mandatory outside release? Well, the key for us as an offense is that we want to get this DB to turn his shoulders and his numbers and run after us. If we don't sell this or try and dive inside, he's always going to be on the inside receiver and on the QB. So we want to make him turn his head, turn his shoulders, and chase us down. So we're going to go full ball, and we want to go mandatory outside, and we want to stack that cornerback as fast as possible. Now, if he's playing off and we can't stack him right away, I still want us to attack him and try and run past him, make him break off. Okay, that's the route that we want to run. And when we get to the line of scrimmage, okay, this is one of the things that we teach pre-season, is that if we get to the line and the DBs are impressed on the play side, so if this DB it heads up against our Z, that's our peak, that's our first read, even though it's a pre-snap read, it's a peak read. So we know if that man's impressed and they're only one high coverage, one safety up, which is what we prefer if you're going to try and take that peak shot. If they're one high coverage and that man's impressed, then you can throw that ball to Z, and as soon as you're ready to throw it as a QB. That's our peak. That's our peak. Our hot. Our throw it first. That's what we look at coming to the line. If we get to the line and our Z's impressed or man, we want to throw that ball to Z and ignore the rest of it else. Okay, that's what we get with that pitch. If we know that we can take the shot, take it. And if it's incomplete, I've said it before, but if it's incomplete and we don't make it, if the QB comes off and I ask him, what did you see? What did you think? And he tells me the shoot shot was on, I want to take it. And I'll say, okay, no problem. And we'll look at it off film. And if I agree with him, that's fine. If we don't, then we'll talk it through. So that's our first peak. We call that our peak read. And we want to get mandatory outside release. Okay. If their heads up, if they're inside shade, outside shade, we want to try and get mandatory outside release, stack them as fast as possible. That's what our goal is. That's what we try and do every single time. I've shown video clips in the past. I'm not going to do video today. I've shown video clips on that many times with stick, where we turn the shoulders and turn the head, making changes down. That way, it clears out all this side of the field inside those numbers there. for us to run our stick or our out into. Okay, that's our peak read. That's our one. We say one, but it's technically peak. Okay, and our our sorry. Okay, our Y will run a 3 to 5 step. We'll say 3 step hitch. Okay. Now I'm not that big on steps or yards really, but because that we're in the UK and we've got no lines where we practice, we just say steps to make it easier. We're not over the course of time. I'm not that big on inside leg up like I used to be in a certain way. We kind of let it slide as long as you're comfortable. You can get to where I need you to be when I need you to be there. We don't worry about the nuances as much as we used to. Now it's all about just getting there and getting there on time. So we don't really worry too much about this thing, but we still say 3 step, 5 step, etc., etc., just because it gives our receivers an idea of where that we want them to be when they get there. So we almost have it's a 3 or 5 step um, hitch route, depending on where if they're online or offline. So right now, for me, this will be a 3 step or 5 yard, three step hitch. Okay, and in this situation, if from the receiver's perspective, if the DB is inside the 5 yards, okay, we're going to break that to an out. Okay. But if the DB is heads up or inside shot, inside fake, it doesn't matter. If the DB is inside the 5 yards and he's playing man, okay, we're going to change that route into a 5 and out or a 3 step and out. Okay. If that DB is in soft coverage and he's off, he's in zone, we're going to take our 3 step and we're going to inside hitch, aim for that inside shoulder of the linebacker. So we want to make him look in, shield the ball, turn around, aim for that inside shoulder, turn, and look for the football at 3 yards. So that is our goal. So it doesn't matter if he's inside shade, heads up. We want to attack that inside shoulder and make him work inside, and then we can work it back out, depending on the throw and where we turn and hitch. Okay, so our Y inside 5 yards is going to run a mandatory 3 and out, or 5 and out, 3 steps out. Okay, if it's outside of 5 yards, inside of 5 yards, sorry, outside of 5 yards, is going to 3 steps, turn and hitch. Okay, that's our zero and our Y route, my play side. Okay, the last route on our last route from the flood side of this is an arrow or a swing from our R. Okay, and again, I've said this numerous times. It can be an R, that can be a Y, that can be Z, it can be an L, it can be an R. The numbers, then that just mean nothing to me, and you do whatever you want to. I've never been hung up on who wants to do what in terms of numbers or lettering or whatever you want it to be. It's okay, you do you. You make sure you're comfortable in what you're doing. But in our situation for us, it's an R. Now over the years, this has changed from a swing or an arrow back to an arrow back to a swing, all depending on what we're trying to achieve, or what we feel is better for that quarterback, etc., etc. I spent the last couple of years running the swing. I'm going to go back to the arrow this year because I want to change it up a little bit. And some find the arrow a more difficult throw. Some find the swing a more difficult throw. It all depends on the QB too. Again, that's something that you'll find out during the course of pre-season and your training camps, etc., etc. But for now, we'll run it with an arrow. The benefit of the swing is that when we take our drop, what I liked about the swing, what I liked about the swing what I like about the swing is that when our QB drops, and the R is the receiver, is usually in line with the QB, and it's like a nice easy throw to the side, or you hope it to be. But again, it all depends on the QB and how well they're ready for the running backs. I find a swing rate is very simple compared to an arrow, which is more the case of, get your head around at the line of scrimmage and look for the ball, where a swing is basically give the game ground, turn, look for the football. Again, all depends on what you're trying to do with it, personal preference, etc., etc. I like them both. I've got a fondness for both, and I do mix it up at different times to see where we're at. So I'll just put it back into arrow for right now, and you can see that we've got our flood concept. Okay, this far side, and again, as we know with the Y is can be a man or a zone concept. The Z, again, if they're in man, over the top, we're taking it. If they're off, and they're in cover 4 and they're playing way off, we still want to chase it down. In other concepts, we may tag a hitch on, a curl on at 10 or 10 to 12 yards. But on stick, we wanted to keep running them north and basically be the cheese. So they're basically going to run off the DB or run off, we want them to get away as far as we can, so we can throw into this space right here. That's what we're looking to do, or get to the space right here. Okay? For us, or for me, I can say for us, for me, in gun or in ice, this is the 1-step drop. If we were under center, or alpha is what you call it, this will be a 3-step drop. We don't want to drop too deep. It's a quick game concept, what we call quick game concept. So the ball's going to be in, out of our QB's hands very, very quickly. Okay? And basically, all we're doing pre-snap is our QB's going to look at the line of scrimmage. Is the Z impressed? Yes. Or the fade. Okay? If he's unsure, take it off, chalk it off, ignore it. Okay? As soon as the ball is snapped, okay, you can look at the Y. If the Y is in zone, if the backer or the safety covering the Y is in zone, throw to the Y. If the backer who's covering the Y comes down to take the R on the arrow, again, throw to the Y. It's either going to be the linebacker here or the linebacker here that's going to take the R. It might be the defensive end, but you very much doubt it. There's going to be a backer here or a backer there. If they crash down, we take the Y. If they drop off, we take the Y. If they sit on the Y, we jump it to the R. So we've basically got a peak read, a 1, and a 2. That play side read. Okay, play side read. This is pre, post snap. Z is pre, Y and R is post. Okay. So if nobody comes on, if nobody chases the R down, which is where I like the swing personally as well, because you can see them coming as they chase that down. But if nobody chases the R down, you throw to the R. If they chase the R down, and then you throw to the Y again. If it's in zone, it's a sit, and you let the back go down to the R. You just sit in the space behind him. If it's in man, you're going to bounce it out on a 3-step, 5-yard out. Again, so you're into the space provided by our Z, who's left the building, and create the opportunity to run into that area right there. So we've got a nice little flood concept of 1, 2, 3. Again, we don't worry too much about our QB rolling a little bit. We still roll out play, but in the past I've shorter QBs and they might take a step to the left. We don't overthink it too much. If they've got to get the ball out any way they can, do it, but it's a rollout concept. I don't roll all over this side of the field. We want to be, methodical with what we do, with what we do and how we do it. Okay. The left side of the concept is more of a pre-snap concept. Okay. Now you can run double stick, and we can change things around. We have done in the past. We do a lot of stuff with it, but let's just say for now, we currently run. I think it's slanting out, okay, but we've run double slants, we've run stick and play, we've run all kind of stuff. Okay, so I'll just draw this quickly. Terrible. Hold on. That's not going very well, but I'll go through it in a minute. So on the pre-snap side, this will be done pre-snap. If we see pre-snap that the X is available, the corner's off by 10 yards or 5 yards, and we can get inside leverage, we can throw the X, we're going to take the throw pre-snap. Again, if the H, we know it's in soft zone coverage, and we know that we can throw the 1 yard out route or the 1 yard out route to the H. We're going to take the throw now again. So we pre-snap the left hand side of it in 2x2 and in 3x1 and it's pre and post snap in the right side of the concept. We usually will prefer to go right, but if we're going to go left, it has to be done pre-snap. What we don't want to do is go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That can never happen. We won't have enough time. Okay, we've got big on big blocking from our linemen. We've probably got 2 or 3 seconds, so we're not going to have the time to go 5 reads. Okay, so we go 1, 2, 3, or we go 1, 2. There's either way. We're not going to go 5. We're never going to have our QB scan the entire field and look to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's either going to go 1, 2, 3, or it's going to go 1, 2. Again, the way I teach it, X and H is a pre-snap read. Y, Z, and R is a pre-post snap. So Z's pre, Y and R is post. You get a lot of leg work out of this and a lot of yardage out of it. Okay, let's just do something else. Okay, now if we move this, over to here, okay, into our trips. When we move to trips, usually our rule of thumb, okay, is our H is opposite our R. So if we bring that H over our R, have to go across. And again, this enables us to do some nice things. So we can still run our arrow red, but this time to the R side. Again, again, we're going to carry our slant over, which is from that our 2x2. Okay, so you can see that we're going to carry our slant over. We're now with 3x1 to the right. Okay, the only thing that changes in this concept now is our pre-snap on the left is a cleaner read, which is why we like to run trips a lot, because it gives cleaner reads for our quarterbacks, which is why we like trips as a UK coach. I prefer trips. It makes it clean. So again, if we go back to again, our X and our R is our pre. Our right hand side, which is our main concept side. Our Z is still the peak. Our Y is still 2, and our Y is still 1, and our H is now 2. The way this would work is that when we're in trips right or trips left, doesn't make no difference. When we're in trips, our Y goes from running a hitch out choice to a mandatory out. We don't want to be in this area, the same area as our H, so that they're congested. So our Y will run a mandatory out. Our H will replace it with this 1-step slant. Okay, so we've got 3-step out, 1-step slant. Again, putting conflict on this linebacker right here, making him hopefully wrong. He's either going to chase down the Y or sit and take the height, which will open the Y up. That gives us a nice little multiple natural rub right there that we can usually pick on. Okay. If we're going to throw to the X or to the R, this is going to be a pre-snap read for us. Okay, and we'll get this pretty much as soon as they come out. The thing about trips that we like is that they keep defenses for the majority quite open, quite honest. Okay, so we'll know that the one back is taking this R, and there'll be a corner taking the X. If they're two eye or the one eye shell, they may drift the one safety over a little more to the left hash, just to try and cover that deep game on the left hand side. But we're not going deep game. We're going 3-step slant. So again, if their heads up, if they're inside shoulder, doesn't matter what they are. If they're trying to take away the inside, they're giving us the inside press. We've still got to battle inside and take that route. Okay, even if it only means that we are the cheese on this play. But we'll know straight away that if we can throw the slant pre-snap, we're going to throw the slant and ignore the right hand side of the field. If you've ever seen them on Twitter or on stuff on my other videos, I've covered this quite a fair extensive amount of time. We throw this football quite a lot when we're in trips. Is that we try to put this slant to the weak or to the backside. Okay, again, we try and make this linebacker wrong. He has to be wrong if he's going to go. If the linebacker drops to cover the slant route, throw to the R. If the linebacker shoots down to take the R, we throw behind him and throw it in front, well, behind him and in front of the DB to our X in the space where the linebacker's vacated, and that gives us a nice clean read for our QB to make a simple slant throw. You know, you don't have to be a strong arm QB, overly accurate QB to throw a 3-yard slant. You kind of get the ball in your hand and get it out. Hopefully, get a nice simple completion in 5, 6, 10. And of course, we want to get the ball in our receivers' hands and make them get some yak. And this for me is like we run trips and we run 2x2. Majority of the time, we do get fancy with it, and we can do other things like MT and multiple backs, etc., etc. But the meat and potatoes of the concept is still the same. If we changed it, we flipped it mainly, and we went to R, if we went to trips left, it would just mean that the concept flipped. That's all it would mean, really, was so the strength of the concept would be on the left and all the way around, but it would still look exactly the same. The reason why I maintain and I like this to be our day one install, it gives us a lot of options to come out of the gate with. So it doesn't matter what the defense is all day one. We can move the football. We can do plenty of things with it. Yeah, we think it's a simple enough concept that we can run and utilize quite easily, and that's why we like it. Put it back to 2x2. Okay, and that's why we like it. Okay, and I'll just finish it off with this. Okay, that's how it would look in our playbook, in our ice, in our 2x2 formation. Okay, again, we like the simplicity of the play. We love the idea of repping things a lot in the air races. It's just we do 3 or 4 things really, really well for the best of our ability. And this is one of the things that we well, me personally, I hang my hat on. Again, I've shown many clips in the past. This is more of a chalkboard style talk it through. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've seen something you like, you can take away. It's not all as good. It's just just trying to pass on what we know. But for now, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. Any questions? Feel to hit me up below. Whatever. If you want to hear me talk about something else, again, hit the comments. Whatever you want to do, and I'll try and cover it. I have the time right now. But for now, I appreciate you all jumping on, taking a look, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care.